Okay, I think I'm gonna start just not to cause any more delay because I got to know that the session slots are 40 minutes. I usually speak around 1 hour with this slide, so I really have to be quick with that. So hello and welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing my session instead of the other ones. And that's my third time in Greece. I spoke twice at Devoxx Thessaloniki. Is there anyone here that attended my session there with HoloLenses? No, okay. So you might not know me. Anyway, so this session title is XR Demystified, whatever that means. And the reason for me to create this session was I'm in this business of augmented virtual reality for like 7 years right now. And I talk on conferences and regarding that topic, I talk with clients, etc. And I can still see a lot of confusion around the topic, like people not knowing what's going on in the landscape, like meaning the hardware, they don't know how to apply it to the business, they think it's only for gaming, etc. I usually meet friends from time to time, like from the business at conferences, and they still ask me from time to time, hey, are you still in the business of doing the glasses thing? I thought it's dead already. So, given that I constantly get these kind of questions and I see that confusion, I decided to create a talk that would kind of demystify all that mess that is around that topic. But let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm Rafal. As I mentioned, I'm in the virtual augmented reality business for the last 7 years. I'm an XR development lead right now at the company called Transition Technologies PSC in Poland. And also I organized a conference in Poland called DevConf, and I was awarded with Mixed Reality MVP from Microsoft. If you would like to contact me in any case, just drop me an email or find me on the internet, on LinkedIn or Facebook. I'll try to reply. So, what's the confusion? So what I noticed for the last 7 or even more years is that every now and then there is a company, a vendor, big company, a startup that is releasing a new hardware or a new piece of technology or a software solution of some sort that touches that virtual or augmented reality area. And usually they do not use one particular name for that, but they tend to use separate descriptions, separate names. And especially the big players like Facebook, which was renamed to Meta because they tried to do metaverse, or Microsoft, who when they released HoloLenses, they didn't name it augmented reality glasses, but rather mixed reality glasses. Or the latest and hottest thing from Apple. So they released basically a VR headset that has AR capabilities, which I'm going to talk about later, but they named that spatial computing. So I can see, I mean, you see the confusion, right? I mean, there are no newer and newer devices and solutions, but on the other hand, all the companies are naming it differently. So how do we know like what's going on, right? Without being in the business. So what I usually do is I like this one umbrella term for all of that, like XR, meaning extended reality, whatever that means. Like it encompasses all of the solutions. We're just extending reality. And that would be divided into only 2 categories. Augmented reality, which would mean solutions that enhance reality. They are accessible nowadays on common devices, and you can interact in real time with virtual and physical objects, right? So, and this is, it doesn't matter if it's on a smartphone, tablet, or a headset of some sort. And the virtual reality, on the other hand, would be a fully immersive experience which requires specialized hardware, at least nowadays, and engages multiple senses. Now, How many of you have tried virtual reality of any sort, like Oculus Rift, Quest, Vive? Okay, so that's more and more people, that more or less 50%. I usually ask this question like for the last 7 years at conferences, and I can see year after year that more and more people are trying these experiences. Have anyone experienced augmented reality? Pokemon Go counts as well. Okay. Have you ever tried like Microsoft HoloLenses or Magic Leap? Anyone? Okay, still. So this is not surprising for me, I would say. Anyway, so like this session is for all of you that would like to know what's going on in the landscape of virtual and augmented reality named XR. Okay, so I'm going to go through the quick timeline of what happened since 2014, because that's the time when Google Glasses were released. Do you remember Google Glass? How many of you have heard about Google Glass? That's a lot of you. Okay. So you probably remember the hype, right? The hype was real, that was big. Like people were talking on the internet that we're going to change everything with Google Glass right now, and like our lives will change. And like before that moment, there wasn't much about augmented reality in the mainstream media or on the market, and either virtual reality too. So I call this moment before Google Glass, right? So there were times before Google Glass, so before 2014, and then after 2014 when Google Glasses were released. That was a pretty simple device, to be honest. I mean, back then it was pretty advanced, but the capabilities were very limited. So literally you could display like text and pictures in front of your left or right eye, and that's pretty much it. And you could take pictures with that, right? And it had to be connected to your Android phone. And by the way, I mean it didn't last long for several reasons. One being the technology wasn't there. That was a bold move from Google. And the other reason was the society wasn't kind of ready for this kind of adventure, I would say. And this is interesting in my opinion, because I mean people weren't happy when someone was wearing Google Glasses back then around them, or people walking on the street with Google Glasses back then. The funny thing is that 10 years passed, and right now, like we have people riding on scooters in the middle of the city wearing Apple Vision Pro. And like, we're just laughing at it, right? We don't have a problem with that. I mean, generally, right? So I think the 10 years have changed like us as a society, and how do we live with like cameras that are everywhere on every smartphone, and we have TikTok and Snapchat, and like we don't even know when someone is recording us and then posting that to TikTok. I'm far from saying it's good. It's just there are changes in the society that makes us more comfortable with some solutions and less with others. Anyway, moving fast forward to 2016, Microsoft HoloLens was released by Microsoft, and that was a wonderful piece of device. That was the optical pass-through glasses. So that was augmented reality. We saw everything that is around us physically, and then we enhanced that reality with 3D objects that were called holograms by Microsoft. And that was, one more time, they were naming the 3D objects that were displayed holograms, which is like a new word for a thing that is kind of old, right? 3D object in the game, for example. But anyway, well, that was causing some confusion back then. Anyway, wonderful piece of device. That was my first augmented reality headset that I worked on, and we actually delivered several solutions for that, and that was used and is still being used in the enterprise and in manufacturing. 2016, Sony released PlayStation VR. Who remembers that? That was pretty popular. They sold around, I think, 5 million copies of that. So So that was a huge success and big mainstream hit for the VR. Then 2017, Microsoft did a very strange thing. They released with their hardware partners a headset that were called Windows Mixed Reality. Anyone of you heard about that? No. Okay. So that was something that not many people heard about. But there was one important thing with that solution, Windows Mixed Reality headsets. Namely, the headset itself, it has cameras for the first time on the headset itself. So if you remember HTC Vive or Oculus Rift back then, they required like external trackers to track the person. Who remembers that? You had to set up the room, you had to put the satellites here and there, and you had to do all the calibration, and then you were able to play. That was pretty time-consuming and didn't always work right. But what Microsoft did with the partners like Lenovo, HP, Acer, etc., they released a set of headsets, and they included the technology from HoloLens, meaning they implemented inside-out tracking. So the headset, for the first time, the VR headset, tracked itself in space. So you didn't need any external trackers for the headset to know where you are and what you're doing. And also, the controllers were also tracked by the headset, not the external trackers. That was a big change, but as I said, like no one knew about it. 2017, Apple released ARKit for their devices running on iOS, and you probably know that. You've probably experienced, if you have an Apple device, some kind of augmented reality experience. So ARKit is basically a software package that allows you to create augmented reality experiences for iPads and iPhones. So literally, whatever the camera sees is being displayed on the screen, and then you augment it with some other stuff. You can detect like flat surfaces, the ambient light, you can do some physics, etc. Then, 2017, some other device approach from different angle to the whole space of augmented reality, RealWear HMT1. Does anyone know this device? No, this is very niche and this is very, very industrial, but it has its purpose, meaning, I actually have one. It's very simple. It does have a camera and it does have a very small display. So we can do similar things as we can do on smartphones and tablets, meaning we can get the camera feed and then display that camera feed in front of our right or left eye and then draw on top of that, right? So we kind of do augmented reality. And the weird thing was that RealWear came up with some other name for that. They named it assisted reality, and instead of naming it 3D, they named it 2.5D. So you understand the confusion. The good thing about these glasses is that they are really good for the industrial sector because you can throw it and hopefully it works. But yeah, I mean, you can't do that with any other glasses. So this is like for any like heavy usages or refineries, like shipyards, factories, and any manufacturing scenarios. It serves its purpose. Then 2018 happened, and we had a startup called Magic Leap, and they released a piece of device called Magic Leap 1. Does anyone know that? No one. Okay. On the other hand, I mean, it's not a big player. It was Magic Leap, so that was a startup back then, and there were plenty of startups back then. Many companies that were trying to eat a piece of cake from the market, of the VR or AR market, and they were trying to release some kind of augmented reality glasses. There are many Chinese companies that are trying to do this as well. I'm not mentioning them because, I mean, that would take like a whole day, basically, but I'm just mentioning the most important ones that actually made some impact. So that's why Magic Leap. You might haven't heard about it, but that was the beginning of a very good product. it's a very similar approach that Microsoft did with HoloLens. It's just they moved some weight from the glasses itself, from the headset, to the external computing unit, which you can't see here, but the guy has a cable at the back of his head, and that cable goes to something that big that you have to put to your pocket. And then again, it's optical see-through, so you can see your physical reality and then holograms on top of that. Then Google was a little bit late to the game with their equivalent of ARKit that Apple did. So they released AR Core, which is the software package for creating augmented reality experiences for Android devices, but Android devices meaning smartphones and tablets. 2019, Microsoft released a second version of HoloLenses, which is one of the best augmented reality headsets out there. And I'm not saying that because I'm mixed reality MVP from Microsoft, but it's actually one of the most comfortable and reliable solution out there. And it has optical see-through lenses as well. You can put up the visor up so that whenever you're developing and debugging constantly on the glasses, you don't have to put the headset down, debug something, and then put the headset on your head again. And it had all the computing unit on the headset as well, and it was very comfortable. Anyone tried that? Damn, I should have brought all of them. Anyway, 2019 brought us another invention from Oculus, or Facebook, you name it. Whoever tried Oculus One, Oculus Quest 1? One person, okay, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's one of the best things that happened to a VR world so far, in my opinion, but I think it's hard to argue. It's one of the first standalone VR headsets, so you don't need a fancy, pricey external computer to run all your games, but rather you only need that headset. And the price was pretty good back then, because that was around like $500–600. And it tracked itself. It does have the controllers. It's just the picture I picked here is for hand tracking, because one thing that Facebook or Meta now is doing very good regarding their approach to the headsets is that they have a really strict software release schedule, I would say. They release, I think, a new software update for the system every 1 or 2 months. And they tend to unlock newer features every month or every 2 months. So for example, whenever they released Oculus Quest 1, it didn't have, and they didn't mention the hand tracking, for example. But after just a few months, what happened is they just released a software update for their system, and all of a sudden, we could put out the controllers and just use our hands, and it just worked perfectly. So, and then developers, they got the access to the API for the hand tracking, etc. So yes, and then Meta, I think they are doing the very good pacing on the market, because a year later they released the second iteration for the headset, which was kind of unprecedented. No one was doing that short iteration periods in that market. I mean, it's pretty normal for the smartphones market right now that we have iPhone every year or new Samsung Galaxy every year. But it was not that obvious on the VR and AR market. With the Oculus Quest 2, they just made it better, just lighter, just better computing unit, better cameras, better display. It was lighter. It was actually cheaper because they changed the approach. And for example, the band that you put it on your head when you bought it in the core package was like lower quality, just to make the price lower. And if you wanted the better quality strap, then you just have to buy more. But they lowered like the entry point for the headset to buy. And what they released here, in of course one of the software updates, was the mixed reality view. or the augmented reality view, but it was the video pass-through mode. Meaning, as you can see, you can't see the eyes of that person. That person can't see the real world if the headset is not turned on. But what they did was when you tapped the headset on the right twice, they turn on the camera feed. And all of a sudden, you can see your surroundings on the screen. So that was something, because all of a sudden, we had headsets on the market where you have both VR mode and AR mode, right? And that shows us that there probably going to be a convergence at some point, that we're going to have one kind of headset for all the experiences. Next, 2021, one more time, Meta, Facebook, you name it, but this time they released glasses with Ray-Ban. Have you ever heard about Ray-Ban stories? There you go. Does anyone have it? No, okay. Anyway, these are not augmented reality glasses, not at all. I mean, they don't have any display of any sort. It only has cameras and headphones, bone-conducting headphones, and that's pretty much it. They are basically for recording stories for Instagram or Reels, you name it. But the interesting approach here is that what Facebook or Meta did, in my opinion, is that they saw that solving augmented reality with the headset and see-through glasses, see-through optics, is very hard, because it is. So they approached the problem in two ways. One, they created a VR headset, which they're trying to do to make smaller, and they enable augmented reality features in that, as I've just told you about when I was telling you on Quest. And on the other hand, they partnered with Ray-Ban, the manufacturer of the regular glasses, and they tried to put more and more technology into the regular glasses. And I think, that's my opinion, that they're gonna try and meet at some point, sometime in the future. And as far as I know, they released the second version of that as well, which also includes AI, so you can actually look at something, and whatever the camera sees, you will hear that on the speakers. Then 2022, one more time, Meta. Not sure if you noticed, it's the fourth headset that they did. They released a Pro version of the Quest. Whoever tried it? One person. Okay, so that was not a huge leap. They named it Pro, so they priced it Pro as well, because that was, I think, $1,700 or euro. And that's a VR headset. It does have cameras, so it also did have the camera see-through, but for the first time, it has the color camera see-through, because I forgot to mention that Quest 2 had the AR mode, but it was black and white. But with this one, they enabled the color camera see-through, so that augmented reality experience, or mixed reality experience, as they like to call it, suddenly became colorful, right? And also they included like eye tracking there, so actually we can point things just looking at them. One other interesting approach here is that you can't see this on the picture, but the controllers, for the first time, they don't have these round things of any sort, because they don't need that for tracking anymore. And all of a sudden, the controllers are actually handlier and smaller. And what they did here is they basically put like 2 cameras on every controller. So we have like several cameras here and 2 cameras in every hand, and like pretty powerful processor there. So the tracking of the controllers is one of the best out there, because every single controller can track itself. So it doesn't have to be tracked by the headset. So whenever you're doing very quick moves, it's just being tracked by, controllers are tracking themselves. Or if you're doing moves like outside of the headset vision, like this, for example, like, I don't know, if you're playing Beat Saber or any kind of a dynamic game, the headset doesn't have to interpolate these movements, but rather the controllers, they know that by themselves. Anyway, one more time, Magic Leap, 2022. They released a pretty good headset, the second iteration of their Magic Leap 1 headset. Have you ever seen that? That's also one of the best ones as HoloLens 2. This is actually my major device right now for the projects. I'm actually in the middle of the project that we're delivering for these glasses. These are augmented reality glasses, optical see-through, so you can see your environment and you display 3D objects around you. You can detect space, flat surfaces, walls, and the minor quirk is that it does have the cable and you have this external computing unit still, so you have to put it in your pocket. But on the other hand, the headset itself is very light, so you can wear it for more hours. Then again, Meta. 2023, they released Quest 3. Who knows this one? One person, two people, okay. Does anyone have it, actually? No, not yet. Okay, that's surprising because that was like the best-selling one from Meta. So they just put more effort into Quest 2, and they brought some technologies from Quest Pro, and they released yet another cheap-ish VR headset that is one of the best on the market right now. If anyone asks me, okay, which headset should I buy for my kid or for myself, I'm just answering Quest 3. It's just, you can't compare it to anything else. It's an independent device. You don't need a computer. There is a good library of games right now out there. And it's just I mean, you can't compete with anything else with that. Also, if you would like to play these fancy VR games that they require a powerful PC for that, you can AirPlay that, meaning streaming to the headset. You just connect it to Steam and stream it. You don't need a cable. But you need a stable Wi-Fi connection. And now, a pretty late to the game, Sony released PlayStation VR 2. Anyone knows that? There you go. That's because it's Sony. So they have a pretty big user base because the only thing you need is the PlayStation 5 for that. But as you can see, and compare that to what I've shown you before, like the headset is bulky, the controllers are bulky, and you probably need headphones for that because they don't come up with speakers as far as I remember. So it's comparing to, they do have speakers? They do have speakers. Headphones. But does the headset have speakers? You have to have headphones. Yeah, but the headset doesn't have built-in speakers. Any other one have. So they're pretty late to the game, and if you would compare it like price-wise, it's still, you have to have PlayStation 5 and then buy like not cheap headset for you to enjoy VR games. And then something that everyone anticipated, at least in my field of the industry, was Apple Vision Pro. Like everyone was waiting for that, and of course it's Apple, so everyone was expecting that they're gonna do like a unicorn, and it's gonna be a headset that is going to solve like every single pain point that we have for the last 7 years of trying to deliver solutions for consumers or enterprise customers. And guess what? They didn't solve many of the problems. Have you heard about Apple Vision Pro? I mean, it was very hard not to hear about it, right? Because like TikTok was full of all the weird videos with that, and it was all the way in the media. And that's the true power of Apple here. They didn't come up with like very new things there. I mean, there are some very nice touches in that headset, but the user base and the hype that they can do is so powerful that all of a sudden everyone hears about that, right? All of a sudden there are people driving their Teslas while wearing Apple Vision Pro headset, and it didn't happen before. There are people like jumping on the parachute wearing that headset. So I mean, it caused like really weird hype, but I think it's good to some extent. I mean, until no one dies, of course. because like more and more people get to know how it's that we have this kind of solutions out there. Mark Zuckerberg from Meta, of course, responded immediately that they're doing basically the very same thing for the last 4 years, for example. But it's Apple. They had to say that they just invented spatial computing, of course, and this is something new. And they started teaching everyone how to experience virtual and augmented reality using their glasses. I have one with me. So if any one of you would like to see that after the session, I can do some more presentation. I'm not gonna fire it up and show the presentation, but I'm gonna tell you about some quirks regarding that. Why we can't, because in my area of industry, like everyone was waiting for this because we have some manufacturing clients, for example, that are waiting for like yet another glasses or the headset that's gonna be better computing unit, better graphics, better screen, etc. And so everyone was waiting for Apple to deliver, right? But all of a sudden, Apple releases their headsets, and it's wonderful. Don't get me wrong. It has M2 chip, which is the same as like in MacBooks, and also the finishing is just incredible. It's like iPhone, I would say. But there is one big quirk with that. Whenever you get off your headset and you don't put it out correctly, and you would only squeeze the blinder, you will do this. Because that uses the magnets. And all of a sudden, your headset falls down. And I can imagine that that is the very first thing that would happen in the factory floor or in the warehouse, right? So all of a sudden, when Apple released that, and I got my hands on this piece, I was like, no. Okay, so we can move forward and wait for another iteration, basically. So yes, but on the other hand, the very cool thing that they did was they put 2 additional cameras at the very bottom of the headset, which means they can detect hand gestures not only here in front of you, but you can have your hand like comfortable on your lap and then do the gestures here, which changes a lot in my opinion, because your hand isn't that tired after a while. And of course, it has like a wonderful display. It's like, I think there are like four times more pixels than on the iPhone, and you can't compare the quality of the display with Meta Quest, for example. Right, I'm gonna put it down because I have like 7 minutes. Okay, so what's the current state? If anyone asks me what hardware solutions to pursue to adapt into the solutions, so first would be Oculus Quest for any gaming or training in VR for enterprise, iPhone for augmented reality solutions for the smartphones, and that's for very good reason, meaning iPhones Pro from the 12th edition, as far as I remember, they come with LiDAR sensor, which is a very good depth sensor, laser sensor. And it scans the environment in the best way possible on the market, in the consumer products. And the same sensor is in Apple Vision Pro, which changes a lot. Also Apple Vision Pro, but that's only for like people who really need to jump onto this bandwagon, because that's very expensive, and don't expect any kind of like so much fun as you can get from Quest. And also Magic Leap 2, that is perfect for augmented reality see-through glasses for the enterprise and manufacturing. And the prices are like that. So Quest is cheap-ish. That means the regular consumer can get it, and like iPhone as well. Okay, cheap-ish. the Pro version isn't. But the other solutions are clearly not for consumers, in my opinion. And if you would ask me what kind of, which hardware I'm using them all. So that's my desk. And I don't have every single one here, but that's the majority that I have. That's Quest 1, Quest Pro, Quest 2, Quest 3, Magic Leap 2, HoloLens 2, and VisionPro. Oh, one thing I just noticed on the picture, that unfortunately, the Apple Vision Pro comes with the external battery, which is one of the, I think, biggest surprise, because we thought that Apple is going to solve this problem, that they're going to put the battery somewhere on the headset. But the headset itself without the battery is heavy enough, so they had to move the battery to the external place. Anyway, I have 5 minutes left. I'm going to go now for the most common misconceptions that I keep hearing, and I'm just going to tell why they're not valid, I would say. So the first one would be, these technologies, AR, VR, extended reality, is only for gaming. Well, it is not. And, hold on a second. Oh, that's too much. They're not. And, well, at least I'm a good example. I know many other companies that are delivering manufacturing solutions for all kind of glasses. Okay, so this doesn't work right now. So, for example, this is for Magic Leap 2. And long story short, we're doing this for the shipping industry, shipyards. And essentially, it's for measuring distances between flanges on the pipings on the ships. And to my surprise, the best results we're getting with iPhone and Magic Leap 2 so far. Android smartphones aren't that good with detecting all the nitty-gritty details of the models. But yes, we can, for example, scan some objects and then measure angles and distances between them. And what's more, we integrated that with the CAD solution so that whenever I detected 2 flanges, I can send them to the CAD engineer in real time, and that CAD engineer can actually draw a pipe from one place to another, and it can be streamed back to the headset, and I can see it in real time. And the other solution that we are doing a proof of concept right now, it's for laser welders in the shipyard as well. So what they needed is, for laser welding, that's for HoloLens too. They needed a way to show how, what should be the speed of the laser welding pistol to move through the place where the welding should happen. So that's a long video. So you're picking the speed and the angle, and then that's at the very end. Then you have all the setup displayed, and you can just follow that yellow circle with the laser welding gun. So, and all of that wearing HoloLens, right? So you have your hands free, and you can just do your work. They cause motion sickness in everyone. Not necessarily. I mean, that used to be the case. It's still the case, but it's not like with everyone, because the technology moved forward. We have better screens. We have better guidelines on how to create VR or AR experiences so that they do not cause sicknesses. So they keep being solved. There are still researches on how to do it, and the industry tries to adapt. AR and VR are the same. Well, I explained that before at the beginning, and you should know already that they're not. Augmented reality is the experience where these are Magic Leap 2s. Augmented reality is the experience where you see your surroundings and you see some extras on top of that. And in this case, for example, that's the multiplier scenario where you can see your peers as well, and you can discuss things on the 3D model. VR, on the other hand, is something where you are fully immersed into a fully virtual environment and you can't see anything else. Does anyone know what game is that? Alex. Perfect. I think it's the best VR game on the market right now, and it's already 4 years old, I think. Everyone was waiting for Half-Life 3, of course. Who's waiting for Half-Life 3 here? One person, two, three, four. Hey. And we got a VR version of Half-Life, which is not bad, but still not Half-Life 3, right? They're too expensive. Well, they are not. I mentioned that I usually suggest Quest 3 for everyone that wants to jump on the VR bandwagon, but Quest 2 is still on the market. You can buy the new one. I'm not even saying how much is the second-hand one, but the new Quest 2, which is a wonderful device still, you can get for 250 euros, which is actually cheap when it comes to, if you compare it to other electronic gadgets. Their isolating technologies, well, they used to be, but as I mentioned, VR headsets and VR solutions, they start to get these mixed reality views, video pass-through modes, so that you can switch from the VR immersive environment to your physical environment. And here is the video from VisionPro. That's actually something cool that they did. You can be in a VR mode, and when there's a person near you talking to you, that person will appear through that immersive environment, and all of a sudden you're not disconnected with that person, right? And also you can use that crown, and you can blend, you can choose the level of blend of the VR environment and your physical environment, which is pretty cool. They have reached their full potential. So people tend to think that, okay, we can't do much more, and because like it's going way too slow, like people try to compare it to the smartphones market or tablet market, where we got like first iPhones in 2007, and right now we have wonderful piece of devices, we can do everything with that. But with the VR and AR solutions, it's not that easy. That's a slide from the presentation of some other person that usually do a pretty thorough analysis of every headset that is out there. And that person, he likes to compare creating a virtual or augmented reality headset to an n-dimensional chess. You try to do one thing good, so you have to do some other thing. You have to do some sacrifices somewhere else. So for example, you want to do a good display and good sensors, but the headset will be too heavy, so the battery has to be on the wire. If you would implement a good field of view for the optical see-through glasses, then the headset would be extremely expensive. So they have to play this weird game of creating the headset, and that's why it's taking too long. We still need some technological advances, hardware advances to overcome these issues. They require a lot of space. That's something I also mentioned. We used to have VR headsets that were tracked by the external sensors. Nowadays, all the headsets are tracking themselves. It's justified. Well, it's not. We can see numbers on the market. You can see here that that's Meta, and they're getting more and more market with their headsets, and they're selling more and more units. And a good comparison also is HoloLens 1 and 2 were priced at $3,500, and they were sold in 50,000 units for 5 years, 4 or 5 years, both versions. And when it comes to Apple Vision Pro, within, I think, 2 or 3 weeks, while the headset is being priced the same, $3,500, they sold 200,000, so 4 times more than Microsoft with HoloLenses. So that's the difference, right? And very quickly, how to get started, because probably we are all developers and might be wondering how to start the journey of augmented virtual reality from the development perspective. Well, the easiest route is just use Unity. It's free and it's easy-ish. You have to still change your mindset to game development, because these are the tools from game development world. But as I said, it's like the simplest route.
you have very good resources on Unity Learn. These are the official resources. You can go through all the paths and get to know all the basics and details regarding how to create these experiences. And also AR Foundation being the package for Unity that kind of abstracts some aspects of augmented reality features like device tracking, plane detection, image tracking, etc. So you just write your code once, and then you can run it on different platforms. If that platform supports it, then you can get that feature on that platform. The thing is that it's already like a standard in Unity. So if any vendor releases a particular feature within their solution, it gets a yes here in the table. So you can still write your code once and be future-proof. So for example, recently they added the Vision OS column. So if you had already augmented reality solution for some other headset, but with AR Foundation, it's easier to port it to VisionPro. Also, we have a wonderful package from Microsoft MRTK free mixed reality toolkit, which is just a set of controls for creating UI that looks good. There's a place for QA, which we can move to the break, I think, just not to take much more time here. So just ask me anything after the session, and thank you.